Good evening and welcome to DETV News, your trusted news source. I'm Matt Ford. We begin with the expansion of resources dedicated to what's called the Gunstat Initiative. It's a multi-agency program which seeks to get guns used in crimes and those who use them off the streets. The enhanced Gunstat Initiative will build on the already established program CompStat, which relies on data-driven management tools to drive police officer deployment efficiency based on crime trends and data. In the new iteration, Gunstat would use targeted prosecution to track and deter gun crimes and keep violent offenders off the streets for greater lengths of time. Wilmington Mayor Mike Przicki, Attorney General Kathy Jennings, and Wilmington Police Chief Robert Tracy will be a part of the executive committee that will directly oversee the initiative. While Jennings said 80% of gun offenders are ultimately convicted, gun crime continues to increase even while overall crime decreases. In the last 2 years, Wilmington police reported more than 600 gun arrests. With this initiative, Wilmington officers will be able to track gun offenders from case to case and act accordingly if firearm violence is committed again. In other news, cases of Eurasian H5 highly pathogenic bird flu have been detected in wild birds in Delaware recently. Tri-State Bird Rescue and Research Center in Newark was put under quarantine after they received a dead-on-arrival raptor from Kent County. Once they tested the bird for diseases, the results came back positive for highly pathogenic avian influenza, or HPAI for short. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service says the bird flu was discovered in wild ducks, a Canadian goose, and a hawk throughout Delaware. The Department of Agriculture is working with the federal and state partners on additional avian influenza surveillance and testing throughout the state. The bird flu is a respiratory disease of birds caused by an influenza type A virus, which can infect poultry such as chickens, ducks, and turkeys, as well as some wild bird species. State officials say the Centers for Disease Control consider the risk to the public from bird flu infections to be low, and no human infections with the virus have occurred in the United States. A group here in Delaware spent Monday, President's Day, protesting climate change at what they're calling Occupy Biden. Reminiscent of the Occupy Wall Street movement, Occupy Biden has literally set up camp just around the corner from President Joe Biden's home in Wilmington.
Number one, declare a national climate emergency now, and that you pledge to allow no more new fossil fuels. Our global scientific and governmental bodies have declared we are in an existential crisis and have only a few years left to avert climate catastrophe.
The group went on to address the hundreds of Wilmington residents being rescued last year by boat due to Hurricane Ida, as well as the wildfires in western U.S. President Biden was scheduled to be in his home state over this past holiday weekend. However, he abruptly canceled those plans following a meeting of his national security team to discuss the Russian threat to Ukraine. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, nationally, 60% of American children have been exposed to violence, crime, or abuse in their home, schools, or communities. To help combat that startling statistic, here at home, the Delaware Children's Department has announced that it plans to launch the trauma-informed initiative called Take Care Delaware. This initiative is expected to become statewide this year. Take Care Delaware provides resources across the spectrum with a pathway to communicate when there's an incident where a child may be traumatized. From caregiver substance abuse, human trafficking, physical abuse, resources will be dedicated to help them heal. Take Care Delaware is currently at various stages of going live in districts across the state. You can learn more at takecaredelaware.org. Turning to weather now, you may have not needed a jacket earlier in the week, but it looks like you may need one tomorrow. Here's a look at the forecast. And shifting gears now, the Dover Police Department Academy recently completed their law enforcement memorial run during week 6 of the academy. During the run, the recruits stop at the Delaware Law Enforcement Memorial to pay respects and hear stories of those who lost their lives serving the citizens of Delaware. The Dover Police Academy graduation will be held on May 17th. And registration is now open for Wilmington's 2022 Youth Career Development Program. The city will again employ hundreds of youth this summer in numerous professions and internships within city government, as well as in the business and community sectors. The Youth Career Development Program is intended to help younger city residents develop valuable work skills and prepare them for a successful career and future. Mayor Mike Przicki says he encourages young people to apply for a summer job or internship through the program, which he says will aid them in developing a solid foundation for continued personal and professional growth. Those interested in summer employment must apply online. New and returning applicants can register right now at wilmingtonyouthjobs.com. The deadline to apply is Friday, April 1st. And community members, partners, and local officials gathered to celebrate the 10th annual MLK Peace March and celebration. In honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the march was led by the Artistic Force Drumline and was followed by a crowd of over 100 people.
And we're celebrating 10 years, so the theme is Living the Legacy and Celebrate MLK King in You.
The annual event is normally scheduled for the National MLK Day holiday on January 16th, but was postponed this year until President's Day due to the rise in COVID cases in the state. The Living Legend series at the Wilmington Public Library continued with Ernest Green. Green was a part of the group of African-American students called the Little Rock Nine, who in 1957 were the first black students ever to attend classes at Little Rock Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was the first to graduate from the school in 1958. Green shared stories of his past and present. The Living Legend series is a series designed to help and inspire as well as spark conversation. The Black History Month series opened with activist Angela Davis and ends this week with actress Pam Grier, who is best known for her portrayal in films such as Foxy Brown. City Fest continued its year-round concert series this past weekend by honoring Wilmington's own Clifford Brown with a night full of love songs.
It wasn't for you,
Clifford Brown Year-Round How Do You Sing Love concert was held in downtown Wilmington and showcased many artists and musicians both near and far. Each month, different musicians from all over the world perform leading up to the 35th annual Clifford Brown Jazz Festival coming this summer. The schedule for 2022 has not been released yet, but you can be sure to find out more right here on DETV. This year's Firefly Music Festival lineup has just been announced with some major names as headliners. The festival is set to return to the Woodlands in Dover from September 22nd through September 25th. The four-day event will be headlined by Halsey, My Chemical Romance, Green Day, and Dua Lipa. Other acts include Weezer, Zedd, Avril Lavigne, and Charlie XCX, among others. A pre-sale for the passes for the entire festival is available at fireflyfestival.com. The starting price for general admission passes will set you back around $300, and super VIP passes, they start at $2,700. Grammy-winning music artist Darius Rucker might have a new excuse to come to Delaware more often. The frontman of Hootie and the Blowfish turned country singer hit the links at Rock Manor Golf Course last week before playing the Met in Philadelphia later that night. He and his drummer were joined by Rock Manor Superintendent Mike Fagan and Assistant Superintendent Mark Foster on the green. Even though they didn't keep score during their friendly golf match, Foster said Rucker and his drummer held their own. Now the big question is, how would Nick Alessandrini hold up against the music superstar on the green? Hey, Nick.
Hey, Matt, the answer is not too well, but I will take you down to the riverfront and play a little bit putt-putt. That's more my speed. But let's start with the All-Star game from this past weekend. Steph Curry put on an absolute show in Cleveland. It was the 2022 All-Star game, and Steph, he was the MVP. 50 points, 16 three-pointers, and an MVP for Curry on Sunday. But there was also a rising star from Delaware in Cleveland this weekend as well. Nashawn Bones-Highland, the St. George's grad, was selected and participated in the Rising Stars game on Friday night. Bones played alongside top 5 picks LaMelo Ball and Scotty Barnes for Team Peyton. Bones, he finished 4 of 10 from the floor, 10 points in the team's loss to Team Barry, 50-48. Well, it's the final week of the regular season here for high school basketball in Delaware, and there were some big matchups on the boys' side of things this past week. Howard, they beat Sally's last weekend, and St. Andrews with a big win over Sanford last night. Also yesterday, some 2 big matchups between Tower Hill, who traveled to DMA, and the Seahawks, they needed a win for an outside chance to get in that tournament come selection time on Friday. And Caravel and St. Eves, they were battling for playoff positioning. So let's start with Tower Hill on the road. But the Hillers, they came out hot. Big games for Dean Shepard and Davis Bland. Tower Hill, they got out to an early 17-7 lead and never looked back. They would lead by 20 at the break and finish with a 64-43 win over DMA. Jordan Green and Kyer Hines, they finished with 16 and 17 apiece for the Seahawks. So Tower Hill, they're able to wrap up that independent conference last night, and it seems like DMA's bubble possibly could have burst. But the other big matchup, Caravel and St. Eves going on in Bear Tuesday night. Caravel trying to remain on that hot streak they have been on, but St. Eves, a very solid team, and they actually lead at the half 38-34. Then going into the fourth, 51-49. But what a fourth quarter it was for the Caravel Bucks. They outscored the Vikings 32-16 in the fourth to come back and close out their regular season with an 81-67 win. John Clemens finished with 29 points. Dom Wyatt added 21, and Sean Chandler led St. Eves with 18. So playoff seedings will be set Friday morning, and that's when you will see the DIAA bracket revealed. Top 10s are now out the window as today marks the final day of the regular season. But some big matchups tonight going on currently. William Penn and Appo, they're meeting in Newcastle. If Appo wins, they will be the Flight A champs. If not, Middletown will take home that Flight A title. Conference Wrestling Championships wrapped up this past weekend, and now the field is set for the individual state tournament this Friday and Saturday at Cape Henlopen High School. 8 Henlopen Conference wrestlers earned #1 seeds, and D2 state champion Caravel has 4 of them. Wrestling is set to get underway with round 1 on Friday at 4 o'clock, and the finals will be Saturday evening, both of them taking place at Cape Henlopen High School. Make sure to follow Delaware Live Sports for all your weekend wrestling updates, and you can check out the brackets at trackwrestling.com. Just a few years ago, Lauren Park Lane was hitting a baseline shot to win Sanford the state title at the Bob Carpenter Center. Now she has continued to get better and better, and last night she put her name in the history books. The Seton Hall guard set a new Seton Hall single-game assist record and tied the women's Big East record with 18 assists in the win last night against Butler, 84-55. She's having quite a career at Seton Hall. Congrats, Lauren. Well, that'll do it for sports this week. Now, back to you, Matt.
Nick, thank you. Well, that'll do it for this edition of DETV News. Here's what you can look forward to on tomorrow's edition. We thank you so much for watching DETV News. I'm Matt Ford. Be sure to check us out all across social media. Stay well, and we'll see you next time.